When a man begins to yield to the dictates of life, when you look at him, the law, the protocol of sonship begins to grow on his inside. And there are two things that define sonship. The first thing that defines sonship is imaging. Imaging. Every time you see a son, he reflects the father. So when you see a man who is praying, don't be moved. Check the character. We are in a generation where people brag with prayer and do all kinds of things in the name of prayer. The highest arrogance you see in church today is when people are praying, talking things that are not consistent with the nature and the character of God's Spirit. When you look at them, you know this one is religion. It is just flesh boasting itself. It's flesh. This is flesh at work. But when a man begins to yield to life, because life will stir you to pray, life will stir you to study, all of those are the things life does. But the sign that it is life at work is that sonship will begin to emerge. And sonship is imaging. It says in Genesis 1:26, let us make man in our own image, after our likeness. In Hebrews chapter 1 from verse 1 to 3, when he spoke about him as the son, he called him the brightness of his glory. It's called imaging. Sonship. If you see my son, he is a small version of me. In fact, some of the characters I exhibit, at 6 months, the mom will look at him and say, this is you. And I can't deny it. It's imaging. The guy is a hard man. You can't stop him. What kind of stubbornness is this? He took it from somewhere. My head is like a rock. I'm a stone. At 8 months, the guy is already rocky because he's imaging the father. He cannot do otherwise. And so what life does is to bring you to a point where you image God. And so when we see you, what we see now are things that are traced beyond you. We begin to hear echoes, characters, conducts, operations that are deeper than you. Even if we probe you to your last ancestor, we know that this goodness is not in them. We know that this brokenness is not in them. We know that this kindness is not in them. Yes, you are a bit kind, you are kind, but we know this thing didn't come from your father, because your father was not so kind. You are so broken. Your father is humble, but your grandfather is arrogant. So when we trace your lineage, we know that some of these godly tendencies you are exuding now is because you have boycotted a natural lineage and you have connected to a spiritual lineage. And so when life begins to prompt you, you begin to resemble God. That resemblance is what we call the fullness. Because when God dominates you, he permeates you. And that permeated version of you is what reveals God. This is beyond talking about God. This is becoming like God. This is beyond coming to church. This is reflecting God, even in the market where we find it. Most times what happens is in church is masquerading. Everybody is acting pious, sanctimonious. Find them in the office, find them in the midst of heated argument, find them in the market. You will discover there is a spiritual bipolar disorder taking place here, infused by religion. But a man who is yielding to life, it becomes natural. Even in the heart, the heat of argument and controversy, he's the way he is. He's stable. There's gravity. That one has become a son. That's the type God can vet and say, this is my beloved son. He is like me in all conditions. But you don't read that, you become that. And the way you become it is through the promptings. Sometimes you are reading the Bible and then you see a verse and life stops you there. Life will stop you there. And you will look at that verse. Sometimes you will weep. It's life walking. Sometimes somebody is preaching a message and a word comes, life catches it and it puts it on your heart. The whole message is not what you are looking for. It is that capsule of life that came in the word that blesses you. Because he said the words I speak is not a lecture, it is spirit and life. So as God is talking, that capsule will be the one consistent with your fall, and so it will hit you and life will keep it on you like an antidote. It will saturate a portion of you and kill it, because what life will do is that it will mortify. Light mortifies, life mortifies. Light transforms, but the presence transfigurates. And so when life begins to walk, it brings sonship out of you. And the way it does it is that it mortifies the fall, it mortifies the flesh, it kills the dictates, the promptings of the flesh.